Hey everyone, welcome to Financial Revelations. I am David Safransky. Ho, ho, ho. It's almost December. By the time you watch us, it probably will be. You can always hear us every Thursday morning on WCRF 103.3 in Cleveland or the Moody Radio app. There's no need to miss me on the radio. You could get me from anywhere, even in the middle of the jungle now because we take Starlink with us. You can always email Corey with questions. Her email's right down here, Corey@EPSF.com. And you can call us at 1-800-344-2534. It's written on a board right behind the camera. I should have just looked at it, but I didn't. So we're fundraising for the next mission trip on GoFundMe and NativosUSA.org. You can go there and see pictures of mission trips. And if you want to go on the next mission trip, it's going to be in June of 2024. We have total room for about maybe 15 gringos to go with us. That would be a big trip. So by all means, inquire. And, if you want to give, any amount helps because we do fund people that wouldn't normally be able to afford it to go. It's not really that expensive. All in, it's about, with inflation, maybe $2,100 to go on a mission trip to the middle of the Brazilian Amazon and get the true village experience. We live on a boat, sleep in hammocks. You have flush toilets. You take a shower. The food is good. Very little danger. We're not around a lot of people, so it's not dangerous in that sense. So it is very hot when we go, but it's very hot on the equator all the time. So some end of the year suggestions for you guys today, and then I want to go over a few New Year's resolutions. They're not my New Year's resolutions. They're ones that I'm suggesting that people consider. I'm never going to tell you what to do unless you ask me, of course, but just some suggestions that you might want to think about. So some end of the year investment suggestions, certainly be looking at tax loss harvesting. So if you have some losers in your portfolio, you can match them up against some gains. You don't even have to match them up against gains because you can carry losses forward forever and then match them up against gains when you find them. So if there's a stock, mutual fund that's just beat up, particularly beat up, you sell it, you stay out of it for 31 days, and go back into it, you maintain the loss. Okay, the gamble or the chance that you're taking is you sell it, and in those 31 days, things go up dramatically. And so if you want to buy back into it, you're going to buy back at a higher price. But, that it happens. Those things do happen where I sold something and I wanted to buy it back, and then the price just went up. And I'm like, I'm not buying it that. So I moved on. That's okay. I tell people, fall in love with your spouse, not with your stocks. Always be ready to give a stock, a bond, a mutual fund, a REIT, an ETF, a bullet. So they're just investments. There's no quiz when you get to heaven, if that's where you're going, about what your portfolio owns when you get there. They're not going to care. Number two, fund your IRA before the end of the year, whether it's a regular or a Roth. This year you can do $6,500 or $7,000 if you're over 50. Next year it'll be $7,000 is the maximum contribution, or $7,500 if you're over 50. So make sure you get those Roth and regular IRA contributions. And the Roth is better, in my opinion, if you're younger. The younger you are, the more sense a Roth makes. I know you don't get a tax break on the way going in, but if we don't do something with the debt that our country has, rung up by both Republicans and Democrats and anybody else who's been in office, tax rates are going to have to go up. It's just a fact of life. It's not conjecture. So the Roth I like because when the money comes out, it comes out tax-free, and there's no required minimum distribution currently. So I kind of like that. Also, if you're in RMD, number 3 suggestion is before the end of the year, consider a qualified charitable distribution. It's a great way to give the charity that you're already giving to, but get a 25% tax break because there's no tax ever paid on that money. If you're in a regular IRA, you got a tax deduction to go in, so technically you didn't pay tax on that money. And when you send it via a qualified charitable distribution or a QCD, no tax is paid, so the government doesn't get paid on that money. I love that idea. It's a great idea. Keep tax money. We should be voting for the lowest spenders and the lowest tax people. That's who we should be voting for. Government is so involved in our lives, and the answer, when you're in government, the answer is always more government. That is not the answer. That is not the answer. If you look around the world, Argentina, the Netherlands, they're electing. Argentina elected this. He's kind of funny. I hope it works. But he's a libertarian economist who is going to shrink government. The Netherlands, they were going to force farmers to kill their cows so that they could meet a global warming target that is arbitrary and capricious and meaningless. I don't understand why we still pay attention to these global warming freaks. They've been around for 100 years or more. They've never been right about anything, by the way. We're supposed to be dead right now if you listen to Al Gore. And their spokeswoman is a handicapped young lady named Greta Thunberg. And yet people listen to them. They've never been right about anything. And they believe if you just pay more taxes, we can lower the temperature of the earth. It doesn't need to be lowered. We don't need to kill cows. And that costs the Netherlands government their position. And good. We need to vote these freaks out. They're going to kill us with their solution. In the early 1900s, there was an environmentalist, and he was saying at the time, there's already too many people on the planet. They were wrong then, they're wrong now, they'll be wrong tomorrow, they're always wrong, they're never right. That's not going to change. And this I am 100% right about. So thank you, you're welcome. The fifth thing that you should do that I would recommend is develop a planned giving strategy. That's the fourth thing. Develop a planned giving strategy, okay? What I mean by a planned giving strategy is if you're going to be charitable, and I want you to be charitable, the Old Testament talks about 10%. The New Testament doesn't really talk like that. It talks about giving. It talks about being a giver and helping people, but it never gives a number. And I've always thought that if you are like 10%, 10%, 10%, it's a little legalistic. I think it's a great starting point, but it's not the end. So if you're going to be a giver, be aiming to increase it every year, but have a strategy to it. Don't just give to people because they showed up at your door. Do a little research. Make sure it's something that you want to give to, that is something that you can support, that they're not spending 70% of your money on administration, which means salaries. When you give to the Amazon, when you give to Nativos, it's 100% goes to Nativos. It's either getting people there or digging the well. That's it. And nobody gets paid. We have a website, yeah, but that comes from money that we've raised, mainly from the people that sit on the board to run the website and do those things. And the fifth thing that I want you to do is I want you to sit down and review and update your budget. And this assumes that you have a budget. If you don't have a budget, that's part of the New Year's resolutions. So if you have a budget, just look at it. Things have changed dramatically since the Biden administration has been elected because everything costs 25% more. And that's not going to change anytime soon. There was just a super hot CPI number out of Chicago this morning. I still think the Fed has a rate cut in them, or a rate hike, rather. I think they got a rate hike in them, maybe not in December, but certainly in the new year. So review your budget, update your budget, make sure it's still good, your emergency fund, things like that, they need to be looked at, okay? The end of the year is a great time to do that. Usually people have some time off, kids are out of school, there's a little bit less stress about that. I mean, there's stress about Christmas, of course, and spend within your budget, okay? That's buy everything that you want as long as it's within your budget. So don't make this the year that you go hog wild and blow up your finances. Do not push a plunger on your finances for Christmas. Anyway, so hey, how about some New Year's resolutions? These are not mine. I don't like New Year's resolutions. I just live better. A lot of these things I'm already doing. Some I'm not. But some ideas for you about New Year's resolutions. Number one, just start moving, okay? We went through a pandemic. We have all these wars, the politics. Remember, I mean, when Donald Trump was president, I love Donald Trump, by the way. I think you know that. He got a raw deal. He creates some of his own problems, of course, but we all do. That's nothing new for mankind, and that will never end. We create all this havoc in our lives, and then we blame somebody else for it, like God. Well, God, why you do this to me? If he would talk to us and just like answer us at, you're like, hey, did you see what you did? Your part in this? Well, anyway, it was easy for people to get depressed and kind of slow down and break habits and all that, but just start walking. Go to a gym. You don't have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, or he was on steroids anyway. He didn't do that. I mean, he didn't do all. He did work hard, but certainly he was on steroids. You don't have to be like that. Just pay attention to your health. And I have a very simple philosophy. So in January, we'll see people at the gym that we haven't seen maybe ever. Never make fun of somebody who's trying to improve their lives. So you get somebody who doesn't know how to use a machine or know what to do. You're not their personal trainer, but help them out. Reach out to them. Encourage them. Lift them up. Emotionally, lift them up. Yeah. Never make fun of somebody who's trying to improve their life. We need to be encouragers, not people who tear others down. So just get moving. Just walk. Take your dog for a walk. Maybe adopt a pet if you're a pet lover. If you don't love pets, don't do that because they're a lot of work. Trust me, I know. TJ and Max drive me crazy sometimes. But number 2, give to a charity anonymously. Just give to a charity. Now, as the suggestions that I had, a planned giving strategy, one of the things that we do is we give to like Angel Tree and things like that every year. We support kids in the Amazon who these kids have no money. They're not, and I know that Christmas isn't about getting gifts, but for kids, it's nice to get something, even if it's small, and to unwrap it and just the excitement of that. Give to a charity anonymously. It's fine. You don't have to have your name attached to everything. I don't like my name attached to everything. Do something number 3, do something to improve yourself, to improve your lot. Take a risk. Just take a risk. Don't be afraid of everything. It's okay if it doesn't work out. Just don't bet the farm on it. It's okay to take a risk. Number 4, start a budget. If you're kind of running through life financially, hoping things work out great, it's not the best plan. It's not the best strategy. Your budget, so when people hear me say the word budget, they think I'm talking about a spousal bludgeoning tool that we're going to use to beat each other up with, but it's not. It's just data. And it doesn't have to be down to the microcent, but having an idea of what is making up your finances and where the costs are. And, my first boss used to say, if you know the score will improve. And what I'm asking you to do with the budget is know the score. So know your score. Number 5, I want you to read a nonfiction book that will improve yourself. So read something I have a book club, and I think Corey is going to put all the books up on the book club for this. But one of them is called The Moral Case for Fossil Fuels. It's an easy read. It's a great read. There's a couple other great books on there. The Moral Case for Capitalism is a great one. Freakonomics. The first Freakonomics book I loved. I have a degree in economics. I learned stuff from it. So there's a lot of great stuff that you can learn, but it doesn't have to be that. Read what you want, but I like to read nonfiction only because I feel like it improves me. Not that fiction doesn't, but that's just where I'm at. So my suggestion is read a nonfiction book. Number 6, sleep in a hammock in Brazil. That's a shameless plug for the missions trip if you want to go. But you would sleep in a hammock in Brazil. My friend Leo, we went on the last trip, and they always buy me a really beautiful hammock. And they bought Leo a hammock, and it was just brown. And we're there, and our hammocks are hanging. He goes, Dave, look at your hammock and look at my hammock. And my hammock was admittedly way more beautiful. So I bought Leo a hammock from Brazil, and I'm picking it up. Number 7 suggestion for New Year's resolution: help a family at church with the holidays. You could do something as simple as a gift card for groceries. People are really struggling this year with food and energy, and if they're, house payments, because if they recently got a mortgage, it's very expensive. People are struggling. Things are costing a lot of money, and I want to think that people in the church can rely on people in the church. Now, sometimes we have to kind of turn off some things mentally, like, well, I would help them if they didn't do this. Well, okay, I get that. When a vagrant's asking me for money and they're smoking, I think, I'm not buying cigarettes for somebody. But families with kids and, anyway, help a family at church. Just a New Year's resolution, suggestions. How about number 8 is provide an extra gift for your pastor who is probably squeaking by financially. Most pastors don't get paid a lot of money. I read a story a couple of years ago about a pastor in, it was North or South Carolina, who had bought his wife a $350,000 car. He's not struggling, obviously. Most people that I know in this business don't drive $350,000 cars. In fact, most of them drive F-150s or something like that because they're good with money. But if your pastor isn't that person, maybe think about them a little bit extra at Christmas time. It's hard to be a pastor. And it is. It's hard. Most pastors, if you look at the clergy quit rate, people are leaving the clergy, and I use that term generically, in droves because it is so hard and so much is demanded of you. It's okay to help people out. I want to help people out. So I want you to want to help people out too, because most of us live, we could live on 5% less. There's no doubt for most of us. Number 9, this is the last one, volunteer to teach a class at church. It's going to do 2 things for you. One, it's going to improve you and me, because I have to study now and dig a little deeper into the word because I'm going to teach it to somebody. That teaching responsibility kind of provides an accountability, a self-accountability measure for ourselves, and you're building into other people's lives. The Bible talks about having a Paul, a Timothy, and a Barnabas. A Paul is somebody that you learn from, a mentor. I have a mentor. I still meet with them. I talk with them. I run ideas by them. And then a Timothy is, Paul, Timothy is somebody that you learn with, somebody about your level of expertise that you're walking through these things with. And a Barnabas is somebody that you're teaching into. These 3 levels of accountability are really important in our lives because it helps us learn from experience. It helps us learn with experience, and it helps us teach experience. It helps us take the things that we've done, both good and otherwise, that we've learned from, and help people navigate those things. And it's important that we do that for the next 1,000 years of our lives, so it never ends. Even when you're 75, you're going to be learning from somebody, and it may even be somebody younger who's just got a wisdom that's uncommon to you. I know people like this. I have a friend that has such an uncommon wisdom about them. It's really awesome to be around them. I love being around them because of that. God provides those opportunities for us if we allow it. He's not going to make us do anything we don't want to do, but we allow these things. We open the door for that to happen. We build relationships and allow people to build into us, or we build into other people. It's part of the process of growth. And you're going to make mistakes, and you'll trust somebody that didn't deserve your trust, and you're going to be hurt by it, and you're going to grow through it. That's the way we work. I love you guys. I know it's the end of the year. Appreciate you watching the podcast and listening and the feedback. And a lot of people have helped support Nativos and the mission trips. I know we have finite resources, so I never once have thought, boy, I wish I could have given more. I appreciate every gift that comes in and everything that you guys do. I've met so many great people through not just the podcast, but in the business, but the missions trips, and it has enriched my life immeasurably. I get way more out of this, I think, in a selfish way than anybody else does. It's really helped me a lot. So I appreciate you guys. I am a real American, a true red-blooded patriot, and the voice you can trust.